Hello to my fellow students who are watching this video. I am Mary Grace Jimenez Duran from ABM 11YA-2 of Our Lady of Fatima University. Do you have any difficulty understanding proportion? Well, good timing, because today's topic was all about proportion.
What is proportion? Proportion is expressed as a relationship between two ratios. Proportion says that two ratios or fractions are equal. So, paano natin nasabing equal yon? In the proportion, in valuing two ratios as in A over B equals C over D, or A is to B equals C is to D. Sa A is to B equals C is to D, may specials name yan, which is ito, extremes and means. Means, ayun yung inner number or the second and third terms na proportions. Yung extreme, yun yung outer number or yung first and fourth terms ng proportions. The product of the means is equal to the product of extremes. So, sa proportions, may three types yan. Yung first is direct proportions, yung second is inverse proportions, and yung third is yung partitive proportions. First, yung direct proportions. So, what is direct proportions? Direct proportions is the relationship between two quantities, where the ratios of the two is equal to constant value. It means, kung yung isang side tumaas ng 3 beses, dapat sa lahat ng part, tataas rin ng 3 beses. Okay? So, when an increase is one quantity result to an increase in another quantity and a decrease in one quantity result to a decrease in another quantity. Ibig sabihin, pag yung isang quantity nag-increase, dapat yung other quantity mag-i-increase din. Kapag yung isang quantity nag-decrease, dapat kasama rin mag-decrease yung another quantity. Okay? So, let's have our first problem. If 2 students can finish 6 homework, how many students can finish 15 homework? So, sabi dito, ilang student daw ang makakatapos ng 15 homeworks? Let's solve it step by step, but first, let's identify the given. So, our given is this. Which is 2 is to 6 equals x is to 15. In our given, pwede natin siyang i-convert to fractional forms. So we have 2 over 6 equal x over 15. Ang goal natin dito ay mawala yung denominator. So paano mawawala yon? Kailangan lang natin i-cross multiply. So, yung 2, i-multiply kay 15, tapos yung x naman, i-multiply kay 6. So, we have 30 is equal to 6x. Para maiwan naman na mag-isa si x, yung katabi niya, which is 6, is need natin i-divide sa both sides para ma-cancel out yung katabi ni x. Ngayon, meron na lang tayong 30 over 6. Then, let's divide that. Now, we have 5. So, 5 student ang makakatapos ng 15th homework natin. Now, let's have our second problem. 10 lollipop cost 20 pesos. What is the cost of 48 lollipop? First, lagay muna natin yung given. Then, yung fractional form. Then, i-cross multiply. divide yung number which is yung katabi ni x sa both sides. So we have this. Then divide it, so we have 24. So let's move to our problem number 3. So sabi dito, a postman can start out 738 letters in 6 hours. How many letters can be sorted in 9 hours? So parang ganun lang din sa problem number 1 and 2. Lagay lang yung given. Then yung fractional form. Then cross multiply it. Then divide yung katabing number ni x sa both sides. Then divide. So we have 1,107. Now, let's have an activity. In this activity, you don't need to rush it because it's really easy. And take your time to read the questions and understand the questions. No need to rush and take note. If you don't want to answer the activity, that's totally fine. So, let's start the activity. Okay, so if you're still not done answering, you can pause the video. Okay, so let's reveal the answer. So number 1 is 20 gram, 2 is 140 pesos, and 3, 135 minutes. So if your answer is all correct, that's great. Keep it up, guys. If you get 0, that's okay. There is still more activity. Okay, let's continue to our second type of proportions, which is inverse proportion. What is inverse proportion? Inverse proportion is the relationship between two quantities where one quantity increase or decrease as the other quantity decrease or increase as the same ratio rate. So, dito, sa inverse, hindi siya katulad sa direct. Pag tataas rin. Kapag bababa rin. Pero sa inverse kasi, baliktaran. Pag tataas yung isa, bababa yung isa. Pag bababa yung isa, tataas yung isa. So, let's have our first problem. A farmer has enough food for 144 ducks for 28 days. If he sells 32 ducks, how long will the food last? So, first, let's put the given, which is 144 is to 28 equal 32 is to x. In inverse proportion, hindi natin gagamitin yung fractional forms. So, bale, kung sino yung magkatabi, sila yung i-multiply. So, 144 multiply kay 28 equal 32 multiply kay x. So, we have 144 times 28 equal 32 times x. Let's multiply that and we have 4,032 equal 32x. Then, divide natin yung katabi ni x which is 32 sa both sides. So, we have 4,032 over 32. Then, divide it. And we have 126 days para mag-long last yung food. Let's have our second problem. 40 students stay in a hotel. They had a food stock for 30 days. If the students are double, then for how many days the stock will last? First, lagay muna natin yung given. Then, i-multiply mo yung magkatabi. Then, times it. So we have this. Then divide mo yung katabi ni x sa both side. So we have this. Then divide it. So we have x is equal to 15. Let's move to our last problem in direct proportion. Sabi dito, ilang days daw yung makukuha ng tatlong people to do the same job, which is yung pagkuha ng lemon from the tree. Parang ganun lang din sa problem number 1 and 2. Lagay mo lang yung given, then pag-multiply yung magkatabi, then times it, then divide yung katabi ni x sa both side, then divide it. So we have x equals 16. Now let's move to our activity 2 in inverse proportion problem solving. Again, no need to rush kasi sobrang dali lang ng activity natin. And take your time to read the questions and take your time to understand the questions para hindi tayo magkakamali. So, let's start the activity. So, if you're still not done answering the activity, you can pause the video and continue what you're doing. So, let's check if your answer is correct. Okay, number 1, the answer is 8 hours. Number 2, the answer is 10 minutes. And number 3, the answer is 10 months. Now, we reach the last type of proportions, which is partitive proportions. So what is partitive proportion? Partitive proportion or proportion by parts describe a whole amount being divided or distributed into 2 or more unequal parts. So dito sa partitive, tinitignan yung increase and decrease. Nakafocus lang siya sa paghahati or pag-divide ng parts. Pero depende sa hinahanap yon. Okay, so let's have our first problem. In an orchard of 1,800 trees, there are peach, apple, and pear. In a ratio of 7:3:2, how many trees of each kind are there? So first, let's put our given, which is 7:3:2 is equal to 1,800. Next steps is lalagyan mo lang ng x, yung bawat ratio. So, ang mangyayari is magkakaroon ng x, yung 7, yung 3, and yung 2. Then, ipagpa-plus lang natin yung tatlo. So, we have 7x plus 3x plus 2x is equal to 12x. Then, copy mo lang yung 1,800. So, meron na tayong 12x is equal to 1,800. Then, i-divide natin yung katabi ni x sa both side. So, we have 150. Pero, hindi pa tapos yun. Kasi, yung answer natin dun sa 1,800 over 12, yes, 12, which is yung 150, ita-times siya sa ratio, which is yung 7:3:2, like this. Okay, let's have our second problem. So, sabi rito, how long is the shorter rope? The longer rope. So, let's do it step by step again. First, lagay muna natin yung given. Then, pag-plus mo lang yung ratio. Then, divide yung katabi ni x sa both side. Then, yung sagot natin dun sa na-divide natin is ita-times sa ratio. So, yung shorter rope natin is 20 meter and yung longer rope natin is 60 meter. Okay, here's the other problem. Sabi dito, if the total amount of orange juice is 36 liter, find the capacity of the 3 container. So, I know that you already know the answer kasi sobrang dali lang niya, but let's solve it step by step. So, first, lagay muna natin yung given. Then, plus lang natin yung ratio. Then, divide natin yung katabi ni x sa both side. Tapos, yung sagot natin dun sa dinivide natin ay ipagta-times lang sa ratio natin. So, yung capacity ng 3 container natin ay 8, 12, and 16. Now, let's have our activity 3 in partitive proportion problem solving. Again, read the question carefully. Take your time to understand the questions para iwas pagkakamali. So, let's start the activity. Okay, if you're still not done answering the activity, you can pause the video and continue answering. Okay, let's see if your answer is correct. Okay, number 1. The answer is 5 times 10 is equal to 50 and 4 times 10 is equal to 40. Number 2 is 2 times 50 is equal 100. 3 times 50 is equal to 150. And 5 times 50 is equal to 250. Number 3 is 3 times 5 is equal to 15. And lastly, 5 times 5 equals 25.
We finally reached the end of this topic. I hope that you understand something and it helps you on your journey as a student. I hope that I listen your problem about proportions. Again, I am Mary Simina Duran from ABM 11YA-2 of Our Lady of Fatima University. Take note that people do not believe that mathematics is simple. It's only because they do not realize how complicated life is.